Today we'll be focusing on the most powerful combo play in the game, the 1-2 punch of EMPs and a close range option, often coupled with shockwaves and sometimes even the flow effect. Since EMPs were added to the game back in Chapter 4 Season 4, they have been a favorite item of mine. I think splash damage is very powerful in a game like Fortnite. Things like grenade launchers, rocket launchers, cluster clingers, and EMPs can be very effective because they negate the biggest advantage this game has to offer, which is right shoulder peek. Being able to stand behind cover and peek while exposing less of your body than your opponent is a very big skill that must be learned to be decent at this game. However, when an item can go around corners and damage you anyway, it reduces that advantage significantly. So I've always gravitated towards what I call an X-Factor weapon in my inventory, usually one of these splash damage items, something different that can handle these standoff situations. That is my least favorite instance in a shooting game. I know where they are, they know where I am, but nobody does anything because the first person to make a move is at a disadvantage. Having an X-Factor weapon takes the situation out of the equation, since if you have splash damage, you can push people in areas they aren't used to, while maintaining safety for yourself. For example, in OG Fortnite, I was constantly abusing the rocket and grenade launchers because of this, and it won me a lot of fights and games as a result. Today's X-Factor weapon, as you know, is the EMP grenade. In case you aren't aware, you carry these in stacks of 6 and pick them up 3 at a time. Their main function is they do 80 shield damage to an opponent who is hit within their blast radius. They also have a secondary function, which is they disable vehicles for 30 seconds as well, a feature I am surprised how many people do not know. I can tell this by the sheer number of opponents who still try and drive their disabled vehicle after I EMP them, or those who get into a car that still has the EMP electric effects surrounding it. So now that we know what these do, let's talk about our loadout and where EMPs fit into that. A standard loadout for Chapter 5 thus far has been a shotgun and AR or SMG of your choosing, Reaper sniper rifle, heals, and shockwaves. So obviously something has to go to make our loadout work. There are a few ways we can do this, and I'll give you some options now. My preferred loadout is typically auto frenzy or a gatekeeper with a drum mag, sniper, EMPs, flowberry fizz, and shockwaves. I'll break this down after I give you the other options, as this is what I have the most experience with so far. You could replace the shotgun or sniper for an AR if you really are up to the task. To play this way, you have to rarely play close range or just be extremely confident in your quickscope snipes in short distances. But for today, we'll speak mainly from my perspective and experience of running shotgun as my close range option, although I have ran each of these loadouts in the past at different times. After the recent nerfs to the sniper rifle, I have been choosing an AR more often as well, making my final ideal weapons as drum mag gatekeeper with a 1.3x hollow sight and a Warforged AR with a thermal scope, speed mag, laser, underbarrel, and muzzle brake. I know these AR mods are a bit unconventional, but I like to hip fire my spray weapon, so that's where the laser comes in, and the thermal just feels best for me personally. Use whichever optics you prefer. Muzzle brake for some recoil reduction. I don't think the gun kicks very much, which is why I run it comfortably without the vertical foregrip. Now let's talk about why the utility items in flowberry fizz and shockwaves are so important. Without these items, the entire game plan is impossible, and none of this synergizes well at all. The foundation is shockwaves. It all starts from there. They will, for as long as they are in the loot pool, be the most important item to hold if you want to have an explosive boost to either push your opponent or to reposition and disengage from a fight. It was only when I truly started to feel comfortable and confident in when and how to shockwave that I started to feel like Fortnite was a game that I actually had a decent grasp on. Learning the skill is imperative to making the most aggressive plays the game has to offer. So if you haven't learned how to use shocks yet, I'd recommend going into creative and just messing around until you feel comfortable with them. Here's a map that I like to use. I set it to private, grab a quick loadout that resembles something that I would use in game, and just mess around for 5 to 10 minutes whenever I'm feeling rusty. I will just shockwave, switch to my EMPs, and try to do that perfect motion of throwing them down without hitting myself. It's a great way to get the muscle memory perfected. Now, flowberries and fizz are both awesome healing items of Chapter 5. While they don't offer as much healing as a big pot or chug splashes do, their added utility of low gravity effect is incredibly valuable. It's this feature that allows us to pull off some of the craziest plays possible in Fortnite. There's no other way you can fly so far and attack someone so quickly than with a flowberry and shockwave combo. This also allows you to comfortably take the low ground in certain situations, knowing full well that you can retake whatever high ground is above you a vast majority of the time. It's my favorite thing to do in game as well. I'm not a pro, I'm not an expert, I'm just someone who likes to sign on and have fun in a video game whatever way I can. This strategy to me is the most fun way to play the game right now. So how do we implement EMPs into this equation? At the moment, there is no consistent way to find them other than looting, so you need to choose a location that has a lot of chests to search out. The good news is you only need to find 2 instances to get a full stack of 6. Even better news is in pubs, these aren't really picked up very often, so you'll find people leaving them behind in already looted locations. And good news is if you do play ranked, the higher ranks you get to, people actually do pick them up, making them actually replenishable off of dead opponents. So mid to late game rotating through already looted POIs or bunkers can still net you some EMPs, since not everyone is comfortable using them. Despite their rarity, I still find them very useful to have on you, as when you do end up using them, they can absolutely turn the tide of a fight in your way. There are a few general instances in where an EMPs thrive, and that is when your opponent is behind cover and there's no clear opening, the situation we described before where a standstill now becomes an advantage for you. Throw an EMP directly next to where you think they are, and you can even run after it knowing it'll hit the target a very high percentage of the time and closing the gap on your opponent to finish off the kill. Ideally, you want to hit a fully shielded opponent with 2 EMPs, as that will drop them down to their 100 white health only. However, a single EMP still gives you a 250 to 170 advantage, and it's still a very good way to start off a fight. I haven't really talked about it yet, but now is probably a good time. When pushing after an EMP play, it is very useful to have underworld dashes available, as they make closing the gap the easiest currently. As you watch the background footage for this video, notice how many times I'm holding dashes. I absolutely find it to be that important to have them on you as often as possible. Having under dashes on deck puts you on par with the Cerberus medallion holder for a single instance of a fight. If they dash, you can dash, and if you finish that fight quickly, it's as if they had no advantage over you to begin with. You can either do this by holding dashes from the green water, or by acquiring the Cerberus medallion yourself. Personally, I've been going for the medallion more and more lately, as playing against the person who has it tends to be a bigger problem than acquiring it myself. That is another very important note. If you are playing against the Cerberus medallion, you need to do your best to wear out their dashes before you try to EMP them, as it's very easy to dodge a slow flying EMP when you have 3 under dashes ready to go. The next best utility for EMPs is destroying people who are in vehicles. Whether they are driving or using it as cover, being anywhere near a vehicle against an EMP user is a very dangerous situation. The best part for us is most people aren't expecting the EMP at all, so it makes for a very surprising attack on our opponents. Unless they have shockwaves ready to go, they are very often killed as soon as they exit the vehicle, assuming they get out before I just blast them through the windows. Another really random benefit to holding EMPs in your inventory is we recently got the Shield Bubble Jr. added to the game, which is a remake of the Chapter 3 Shield Bubble, which was absolutely huge. These aren't really very commonly used, but I have definitely won a few instances because someone thought they were safe inside their bubble, not knowing that a single EMP will break the shield itself. Let's not forget, everyone, they are called shield breaker EMPs after all, and they have a history of disabling electronics beyond cars, such as turrets and cameras, so it's no surprise the shield bubble is not safe from our wrath. And another main utility of EMP grenades is they are still the best way to close the gap on and kill a sniper. Ideally, you don't want them looking at you, but even if they are, it's still pretty tough to hit a flying opponent midair who is shockwaving towards you. Take this scenario. You and an opponent are both behind a rock in the middle of an open part of the map about 20 meters apart from each other. They have a sniper, and you want to close the gap. You shockwave yourself towards them and hit them with 2 EMPs, they hit you with a sniper bullet midair. Even in this worst case scenario trade-off, you are at an HP advantage, as without headshotting you, even with a gold sniper will only do 122 damage, giving you about a 28 HP advantage in the fight. Trust me guys, they hit that sniper shot maybe 10% of the time at most. One way to make them hit it even less is to use one of your dashes on the way towards them at some point to throw off your direction. Even if you do get hit, you can always decide to land and shockwave away to reset the fight if you don't want to have a 50-50 right then and there. But a vast majority of the time you'll hit them with 1 or 2 EMPs, they'll miss every shot as you fly in, and you'll be an extreme advantage as you have seen through the footage in this video. There's also a final bonus tip that works just amazing with this loadout, and that is you can take out any bunker camper this way. The weapons bunkers open up in Zone 3, and it is very common to find people down there. Even if they aren't camping, they could just be looting, and it is very hard to clear them out without this exact loadout. So watch closely on screen and we'll show you how it's done. It's quite simple actually. Throw down 2 EMPs and make sure they both connect. If not, throw more until 2 do connect. Then, odds are, your opponent will try to hold right shoulder peak like these ones do here, as it's their only advantage at this point. If they don't, just run down and finish them. But if they do, throw a shockwave grenade right next to where they are standing, blasting them into the back corner and taking them out of their preferred position. This allows us to rush down the stairs unharmed and finish them off with a shotgun. The shockwave play is absolutely imperative, as I've tried doing this without it and have died several times. Right shoulder peak is simply that powerful, and you will get blasted on your way down if you do not move your opponent first. However, we already carry all these items in our inventory and are in a situation where we are very likely to be able to restock on at least one of them given all the loot bunkers have to offer. That's it, friends. The EMP play is still as strong as it has been throughout all of Chapter 5, and I honestly don't think I'll stop using it until it gets nerfed in some way. Using this combo is without a doubt the most fun way for me to play the game, as it gives me the most options at any point in time. No car is safe, no sniper is safe, no bunker is safe, and no cover is safe. Not when you're using EMP. So join me, friends, if you have any questions on how to pull off the most fun plays in the game. Hit me up in the comments as I reply to each one. If you've made it this far, please consider liking the video, sharing with a friend, and telling us what you think about our favorite loadout. Thank you for watching, love you all, and we'll see you on the next one.